Nestled on the western edge of Port Phillip Bay, an hour and a half's drive from the deadly intrigues of Melbourne, lies Gateway City, the hub of the region, G-Town. For the last 4 decades, an uneasy peace has existed between the Anarchs and Camarilla in G-Town, their borders meeting on Bruce Street in the very centre of the city. The two sects divide the domain neatly in two. The native Anarchs, consolidated in the industrial north, have learned to tolerate Prince Aveline and her Camarilla invaders, and she in turn grants all Anarchs the right to hunt and conduct business in her waterfront domain. Anarch rabble-rousers and Camarilla traditionalists each afford their counterparts a reluctant respect. Until now. Word from Melbourne has reached the kindred of G-Town. Prince Squizzy wages a war on 3 fronts against a newly reorganised Anarch faction, Sabbat infiltrators, and the onslaught of the Second Inquisition. As refugees from both sects flood into Gateway to escape the oncoming chaos, local tensions flare, and the truce that has maintained peace since 1983 will be pushed to its limits. Welcome to Lords of G-Town, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play podcast presented by DM Fiat Podcast, with music by Kevin MacLeod, White Bat Audio, Ivan Duch, and Jaxius Music. Now, as the sun sets on the city and the blood stirs, let's see what horrors the kindred face this night. Hello everyone. Welcome to a brand new campaign. Vampire the Masquerade, Lords of G-Town. This is a pseudo-sequel to our Melbourne campaign, War for the Second City, and some of the aftermath of that campaign will become a plot point in this one, but having played or listened to that campaign should not be necessary to understand or enjoy the main storyline in this one. This is an entirely different city, a different domain, with a brand new cast of characters. I am your storyteller, Dale, or Dark Gaia, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. Nestled on the western edge of Port Phillip Bay, an hour and a half's drive from the deadly intrigues of Melbourne, lies a verdant wetland peninsula christened by the native Wadawurrung people as Geelong, the tongue of land. Here, in October of 1838, surveyor W.H. Smythe would, for the first time, record the existence of a humble wool farming town of 545 that would eventually become the state's second most populous city, a sprawling coastal gateway to regional Victoria known as Geelong, G-Town. At least, that's how it happened in our world. In the world of darkness, where shadows are longer, and antediluvian monsters shape humanity in their image, where the horrors of colonialism left an even greater blemish on the lands down under, history took a slightly different course, rising to prominence as a stopover between Melbourne and the goldfields of Ballarat and Bendigo during the gold rush. Gateway City quickly established itself as the rail and shipping hub of Western Victoria, a status it still holds in these nights. With rapid industrial growth in the early 20th century, Gateway leveraged its status as a transportation hub to become the nation's greatest exporter of wool products, fertilisers, and whiskey. The post-war period brought with it increased interest from foreign concerns, culminating in the establishment of G-Town's iconic family auto manufacturing plant in the 1930s and the construction of Endron International's oil refinery in 1956. Tonight, G-Town is home to over 400,000 mortal souls and is consistently hailed as Australia's fastest growing city. Tonight, you are one of the kindred that calls this place home. So, in G-Town, being an unusual domain, the Camarilla and the Anarchs live in something close to harmony. There's a special arrangement. That arrangement is that every newly embraced fledgling in G-Town is placed into the care of a La Sombra by the name of Samantha Stokes. Her official title is Consul. She's nominally a member of the Camarilla, but she serves as a go-between between the two sects, maintaining ties within the Cam and the Anarchs. Her official duties extend to establishing business deals and settling disputes between the two sects, and it is she who trains every new neonate in the city, ensuring that they understand the traditions of the Camarilla and also the myriad ideologies of the city's Anarchs, so that when they are released into the city, they are free to choose what role they wish to take in this rather unique kindred hierarchy. Samantha Stokes has been your mauler, your mentor. She has trained you in the ways of undead, night-to-night existence. She has taught you how to feed, taught you how to respect the traditions, taught you how to employ your disciplines for hunting or self-defense. And tonight, she releases you for the very first time to hunt on your own, to show her that you are ready to enter kindred society and function as autonomous neonates. December 31st, 11:54 p.m, 1999. Sip Sip Hooray is a bar in G-Town. It's not a particularly nice bar. It's just slightly too far from the glitz and glamour of the waterfront and downtown for that. In fact, it's kind of a shithole, but it has cheap beer, loud music, and a dance floor. And for these reasons, 113 humans have chosen to spend the last night of the millennium here. They bounce, scream, laugh, and cry. A mess of flesh, glitter, joy, and grief. But they're not alone. You're here too. So who are you? Let's introduce ourselves and our characters. And when you introduce yourself, please explain to me why you've chosen this particular place to spend the last night of the millennium. Let's go with Alt.
Hi, I'm Alt. I'm going to be playing Valerie Harding in this game. Now, she's come to Sip Sip Hooray because she's a little bit tired of the regular places she's been going. They're a bit tapped out. There aren't many unfortunates to spend time with and rub shoulders with. So she thought, of all places, this is probably the one where there's going to be somebody a little bit desperate for some attention.
Yeah, and what does Valerie look like?
So she's quite a well-to-do woman. She wears a smart, open-collared white shirt with a little bit of ruffling around the neck and decorative cuffs. A single-button black blazer, matching black pants and black dress shoes. She always wears the blazer slightly open, and she has shoulder-length black hair, parted directly in the center and tucked behind each ear.
Yeah. So, Samantha Stokes, as part of her training you to be a vampire, supervises your hunting at a rather small selection of the same locations, and for the last year, for most of your unlife so far, you've essentially only been allowed to hunt at pre-selected spots. And yeah, you've pretty much tapped out all of the stock available there, and you've decided to be a bit adventurous tonight. The first time you've been allowed to hunt on your own. And you've chosen a place where you know the specific type of lovelorn soul will be waiting for you. Demiurge, you're up next.
So, sitting at the bar with an untouched drink is a older gentleman, somewhere in his 60s. He's got iron gray hair. He's got a broad-brimmed hat that he's taken off. It's an old leather hat. It's so old that the leather's cracked and started to peel. And there's like a pack of cigarettes in the brim. He's wearing a leather duster, got some good fade trail on it. He's stocky. There was a lot of muscle there once, but it's gone to kind of to pot. And a pot's like what his belly is. But he's still fairly tall. He's got long, like Wild Bill-style mustaches that droop down under his chin, and a little bit of a goatee, and a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow going on. Calloused hands, kind of cracked face. Sun's done a number on it. Still looks kind of pale for all that. And right now he's like pushing the bar napkin around and staring mournfully at the little trivia thing, which he's slowly covering up with napkins so he doesn't have to look at that electronic distracting thing. And they wouldn't let him take his dogs in, so he's kind of pissed off of that. This is Tig Duncern.
Tig Duncern. Yeah, and Tig, you've chosen this place, I think, because it's a little bit less modern, a little bit more downtrodden than some of the upmarket establishments on the waterfront. And, you know, this is the sort of place where Tig would probably be more likely to down a few drinks back when he was human. It has more of the atmosphere of the local pub than the type of bar that upwardly mobile young professionals would spend their Christmas bonuses at.
This is a place where working people let their hair hang down.
Yeah.
So I'm alright with it.
Alright.
Although Tig isn't too comfy with the idea of feeding on people in general.
Yeah.
So he's still trying to figure out what to do about that.
Alright, so let's go on to Paradox. Please introduce your character. describe what they look like and what they're doing here tonight.
We see a sort of a darker-skinned woman in her presumably early 30s, sort of meandering around the bar, maybe looking for someone to dance with. They have medium length purple hair that runs down with a purple lipstick to match. They've piercings pretty much all over their face. Their ears are full of them. There's at least one in their nose, one in their eyebrow. Sorry, I'm looking at their visual reference. Yeah, that. Wearing a denim vest over some just like fairly casual clothes, with the vest having a series of patches and pins all stuck to it. And they have a small scar on the left side of their mouth. And this is, as she was known after her death, Bouncer.
Bouncer. And is there any particular reason why she's joined the rest of the group at Sip Sip Hooray this night? Last night of the second millennium AD.
Probably because it's cheap booze, which makes people susceptible and highly suggestible to doing stupid things.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like it should be an easy hunt.
Yeah. Right. And finally, well, there is one more player, but they won't be introduced until next scene. So we'll move to our newest player. And we are happy to welcome to our group, Vinny. Vinny, please explain who you are and why you've been dragged to G-Town's shittiest bar.
So my character is Mitch. He is kind of tall and gangly, he just looks kind of like a stereotypical nerd you might see in a movie. He has that kind of like nervous animal expression all the time. He has green eyes and kind of ginger hair and is generally very pale. He has some light freckles. He was kind of getting on his sire's nerves tonight. So his sire was like, why don't you go do something else? And he found himself at this bar, which he never really went to in life, but had heard about. So he figured that it might as well be a cheap way to get out of his sire's hair for tonight.
Yeah. And the rest of Samantha's neonates have chosen this place to hunt, perhaps for their own reasons, or maybe because Samantha has orchestrated events to bring you all together on this night in this place. Whatever the reason, here you are. And all around you, it's 100 odd mortal souls are making sure the millennium goes out with a bang. Within the pits of your stomachs, your beasts, that ever-present manifestation of bestial hunger, the predator within you that is always there, has been a constant companion since you died. Grumbles, sniffs the air in anticipation, growls like a rabid dog that smelled fresh meat. You're hungry. The hunger is always there. But if there's one thing Samantha has made sure to nail into your heads over the last year, it is how to deal with this hunger responsibly, how to take only what you need and nothing more, and how to do it in a way that will not breach the Masquerade, the code of secrecy that all kindred live by, a set of loose rules and laws that keeps their existence hidden from the mortals. And so as you acknowledge the presence of your beasts and set your minds towards satisfying the predator's urge, I would like everybody to please go ahead and make a wits plus awareness roll for me to take stock of this bar and see what your options are. So Vinny, if you don't know how to do this, you count up what your wits is, and you count up what your awareness is, and then you roll that many d10s. And each d10 that is a 6 or higher is a success.
Right.
How much hunger do we start with in this game, by the way?
Hunger is irrelevant at this point, so don't worry
Cool.
with hunger dice. This is just the prelude.
So assume 1, basically.
Yeah, assume
Okay.
1.
That's a 4 for me.
4.
Well, we wits awareness.
Yep, wits awareness.
So 3 from Tig.
3 from Tig and Mitch.
Doesn't have his cheaters on, but he can still notice things.
Ah,
Please, spot.
Yes, you might not know how to use the bot. So we have a bot in Lucky Dice, and the syntax... Oh no, you're rolling it. 2 successes. Fantastic. All right. So, Tig, you're up at the bar, and you're nursing a drink in your hands, nursing the glass, and Samantha's showed you how to cause the dead blood that sits languid in your veins to pump once again, to feign life, bring colour back into your pallid skin, and imitate the normal living functions of a human being. You're able to drink, and yet a stiff lager in your hand doesn't taste quite how it did in life. One of many luxuries you've had to sacrifice. Instead...
This is almost American.
Yeah, almost American. Instead, you've been contemplating the woman behind the bar. The bar's being manned by a middle-aged woman with short, spiky red hair. The denim vest has no sleeves, but that doesn't matter, because she has 2 full arms of tattoos to make up for it. She looks over at you and she says, "You've been nursing that same drink for the last hour. Now, by the looks of you, you're no stranger to downing some strong shit. My bartender's sense tells me there's something on your mind. And hey, new year, new you and all that, no time better than now to lay all your sorrows down on the table and deal with them."
Well, if you're offering, I'll take you up on that. That's a nice tat, he says, pointing at a pair of eyes with a shaved eyebrow above one of them. My youngest daughter's got one like it. No clue what it means, but it looks good on her. Yeah, I'll take you up on it. You ever think you had life figured out and then everything gets turned upside down?
She looks into your eyes and she smiles, flashing tobacco-stained teeth, and she says, "Here Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Although, for me, it was a little bit different. Go on.
Yeah. It's just, figured, do my duty, do good. Find the love of my life, which I did. Run a good business, good, clean, honest business, which I did. Have some kids, which I did. And then settle back, wait for the grandkids to roll in and die happy. And then I did. So now I reckon I got to find something else long term, like.
Notice that she...
I mean, it's new millennial. I got to start it off right. I gotta find something, otherwise. What's it all been for?
Yeah, exactly, she says, smiling. And you notice that she doesn't quite pick up on the fact that you said you wanted to die happy, then you did.
Then you didn't.
And then you didn't.
Then he didn't.
She gives you a sort of knowing smile. And then she sighs and she says, look, way I see it, Mr. holds out a hand. Lucky, by the way.
Oh. Wait, I'm lucky or you're lucky? Well, either way, I'm Tig Dunson and I'm pleased to meet you. Make your acquaintance.
As I said, lucky, she says. Nice to meet you, Tig. Look, listen, Tig. You seem to be a pretty nice guy. Sounds like you had your life in order. Sounds like you had everything you ever wanted. And, well, she smiles, peers down at the drink that you've barely touched, and she says, just because you're a bloodsucker don't mean you have to give up on all that.
Tig's eyes go wide.
Yeah, I know what you are, says Lucky. And no, I don't care. My hunting days are behind me. As long as you don't cause a scene in my bar, you're welcome. Just remember, Tig, just 'cause they say you're a monster doesn't mean that you are. Take that into this new millennium, and you'll find yourself much more agreeable to your current situation.
Tig just kind of sits there stunned for a moment. And he takes a gulp of his beer.
So next we move on to Valerie. Valerie, you're standing over at the other side of the bar, and you're just leaning up against the wall, arms folded, scanning the commotion around you. At the back of the bar, an Elvis impersonator is on stage. A rhinestone-studded masterpiece of plastic surgery, he thrusts and wiggles and shimmies in all the right ways. His singing is not quite on key, but his admirers don't seem to mind. A shower of plastic roses and underwear rain down as he bellows out the last lines of Unchained Melody. And in front of him, a drag queen dressed as Cleopatra is dancing on one of the tables. Blue eyeshadow and plastic beads shine in the strobe lighting. The voguing is incredible, despite a pair of truly terrifying heels. There's a stripy toy snake wrapped around her neck. The drag queen, Cleopatra, catches your eye, and she smiles, and she says, "Doll, you're just standing there watching. Come over, come and dance with all of us. It's the end of the millennium. Come on, let your hair down."
So Valerie meets her gaze and calls back to her. "Oh yes, I'm having plenty of fun from back here. Give me a moment. I'll join you in just a minute." And makes her way across to the bar to get the bartender to pour 2 shots, one for herself and one for somebody she hasn't met yet.
As the middle-aged woman, Lucky, slides the 2 steins over the counter, she looks at you, stern look on her face, meets you in the eyes, and she says, "I know what you are, bloodsucker. You're gonna hunt here, you make sure you don't take more than what you need."
So Valerie meets her gaze and tilts her head very slightly to the side, her eyes maybe just slightly too wide, with big green iridescent eyes looking back, and a small grin creeps across her face. "I'm not going to make a mess, don't you worry. I always clean up after myself."
"You best take care you do," says Lucky. "Buying a drink for Cleopatra, are we? She'll appreciate that. Running up her tab. It's around about $400 now by my count. Been in here every night for the last 3 weeks. She'll appreciate a free drink." She winks. As you carry the drinks over to the table, hold out your hand, offering one to Cleopatra, and she takes it, strokes the head of her toy copperhead python, and smiles, winking. "Oh, ta, darling." She takes a sip out of the glass, and she says, "No one's bought me a drink this whole night. Guess old Cleopatra's moves scares 'em off, eh?"
I wouldn't sell yourself short. I'd at least 50% blame the Elvis impersonator.
"Yeah, singing's not too great, is he? Tell you what though, the music's there, and I can move to the music, I can jive to that," says Cleopatra. She pats the table in front of her, inviting you to sit down, and you do. And as you begin to nurse your own drink, she looks down at you and she says, "So, I see what you're wearing, see the look about you, and I can tell this ain't your regular scene. So, what brings a gal like you to a place like this on the last night of the year?"
You could say I'm down on my luck at the moment. Haven't had a lot of clientele lately. Thought I'd blow off some steam somewhere new, somewhere I haven't shown my face before.
"Oh, tell me about it," says Cleopatra. "Not many in this town who enjoy my performance, but I've always got an appreciative eye over in this place. Don't let the roughness scare you off. Some good people in here."
I did notice plenty of people watching you as you danced.
Oh, every night Cleopatra just basks in their adoring gaze, and I love it, and, well, if only I could get someone from the city council in here one night, booze him up, and get him in Cleopatra's good graces. You see, there's a pothole on my road that hasn't been fixed for years.
Ah, so you're taking the long route of filling it in yourself.
Yeah, you could say so, says Cleopatra. She winks. And she says, Not long now, not long now. A few more adoring fans, few more months of saving, and it'll be well on its way. Mark my words.
Not terribly, dissimilar, actually. I think I like you. I didn't catch your name, actually.
Cleopatra, doll. She smiles, holds out a hand.
Oh, the Queen of the Nile, I see. And,
None other.
Valerie extends her hand.
Over on the other side of the bar, Bouncer sits at a table, nursing a drink. Her eyes narrowed as she scans the room for her favoured type of prey. Suddenly, Bouncer, your ears perk up. Hey? You didn't ask my permission. Don't you know you're meant to ask permission before you snap pictures of someone? You're pissing me off, girlie. You can't just be taking pictures from there in the corner without letting anybody know. Don't you be giving me any lip now. You peer over the crowd, Bouncer, your eyes following the commotion, and there, in the corner, next to a pinball machine, you see a man dressed in weathered denim overalls, more hair on his bare shoulders and arms than there is on your entire head, and he's currently prostrating over a girl cowering in the corner, a girl with purple hair and a camera on a strap around her neck. Her wavering on the spot tells you that she's a little drunk, but that's not stopping her from snapping photo after photo of the festivities, even as the man jabs his finger in her face. You even listening to what I'm saying? Bitch!
Yeah, so she's gonna get up from where she is and start to make her way over. Trying not to be too obvious.
Cue the music.
Yeah.
You walk up
Got it.
to the two. When you reach them, you just stand there, folding your arms. The purple-haired girl looks up, registers your appearance, and then she raises her camera, fixes you in her viewfinder, and takes a photo. The flash temporarily blinds you. For the last time, girl, put the fucking camera down. I'm talking to you. Have some respect for other people, says the man.
God, there's a bit of an inner conflict going on for what she wants to do and also, but keeping her word to Samantha.
He notices the girl snapping a picture of you. He whirls around, sees you standing there. He looks you up and down, licking his bottom lip in an incredibly creepy manner as he takes in the shape of your legs. And then he sneers. And let me guess. You're either her fucking girlfriend, or you're here to tell me to leave her alone. She's just snapped a photo of you, probably gonna put it up there on the bloody internet. I don't need to put it up on the internet, says the girl. Don't you know? All the clocks and computers are gonna explode at midnight. Anything I put on the internet's gonna go poof, up in smoke. Huh? Says the man, not getting what she's saying.
I was just coming over to let you. I was coming over because it seemed that you'd have a bit too much to drink at the moment.
Too much to drink? New Year's fucking Eve, love. And this is a pub. Fuck. It's against the law to have fun on the last night of the year.
It is when you start causing a commotion for everyone else.
Commotion? Look, this bitch here has come in. She hasn't even spoken to anyone. She's pulled out her camera and she's just snapping photos. Who knows what she's gonna do with them? Could be a bloody cop spying on us for all we know. And the girl stifles a chuckle at this and she says, oh, no, not at all. I'm just a student. I'm trying to get through film school. Definitely not a cop.
At this point, Dawn comes on. And she just turns around and says, there, see, she's just trying to enjoy her night. I suggest you leave her alone, and then everyone can get back to their festivities.
Yeah, says the man. He steps up to you, letting his full weight tower over you, and even though you're a good head shorter than him, you just stand there firm, arms crossed, looking up at him, meeting his eyes. Go ahead and make for me a charisma intimidate check and add your presence.
Damn, that's 9 die.
9 die, yeah. Bounce is good at this.
Is this what it feels like to be Vince?
Yes, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
6 successes.
6 successes. Listen, girl, he says, raising a finger, jabbing it into your face. I don't think... He shrugs. The fuck. Ain't fucking worth it. Alright. I get it. No fun tonight. No fun police are in the building. Alright? Don't mind me then. Enjoy your fucking night. He turns, makes his way away, and as he walks away, the girl watches him. She looks at you and she smiles and she says, like I said, you won't have to worry about anything. Whole internet's gonna blow up in about 5 minutes. Y2K, remember? I'm just snapping photos, trying to practice my composition, you know. Holds out her hand. I'm April, by the way.
Just takes her hand, like, shakes it / helps her up. Just, they call me Bouncer.
Bouncer, huh? Well, you certainly did your job. Look, not gonna lie, I was a little creeped out. You know, the size of him. I don't think he would have done anything in a public place, but, you know. Thank you for getting him off my back. Look, I don't see a drink in your hand. How about I buy you one? Come on, she says, and she gestures for you to follow her.
Yeah, she'll follow.
And as you follow her away towards the bar, we cross to Mitch. Mitch, parties have never been your scene. The noise is a little overwhelming. Too many people, too much talking, too many voices, too many variables to keep track of. And so, when we cross to you, we find you stepping into the men's bathroom, pushing through the worn-down wooden door, your footsteps echoing over the grimy tiles, your face pale grey in the cracked mirror illuminated by the flickering light. And as you lean over the sink and contemplate the lines on your face and think about how this singular moment, the end of a millennium, is a nexus point for so many possible futures, you hear the door open and a short, stocky man wearing a knitted vest and thick glasses steps in. Early to mid-30s by the looks of him. Or that could just be his double chin, adding more lines on his face than there should be for his age. He yawns as he steps in and makes his way over to the urinal, nodding at you as he passes. After a few minutes, he finishes his business, pulls up his pants, and makes his way over to the sink, standing next to you. As he washes his hands, he raises an eyebrow and he says, "Noisy out there tonight, isn't it?"
It always is. At places like this, I'm not terribly surprised.
"Yeah, true, he says. "There's something about this place. Usually not that many people. I come here to sit in the corner and, get some of my study done. And, well, I just can't focus tonight, not with all that noise. Guess I don't have anyone to blame but myself. New Year's Eve and all, I should have known. But just the same, I'm doing the summer semester this year, and there's gonna be a pretty nasty exam next week. And I'm just not sure I can get all these equations in my head with that music pumping and all those voices."
You're really gonna make me do math, aren't you? That's not in character, don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, I hope your exam goes well. What course are you taking this semester?
"Oh, I am an engineering major," he says. "Name's Gene, by the way." He holds out a hand, then realizes he hasn't washed it and quickly pulls it away. He says, "Look, I thought I'd take on an elective this summer, get some extra credit points and all that. And I've always been interested in, look, it's a bit of a strange concept, and most people, it just go over their heads, but I don't know. You sort of look like you're the type who would understand." He smiles and he says, "Theoretical physics. Intro to theoretical physics. Just got through Everett Wheeler's many worlds stuff, and oh, man, that is a lot to wrap your head around, even for me."
He kind of he doesn't sigh necessarily, but he definitely seems like a little bit put off by the conversation. He's definitely uncomfortable with the topic, and he's just kind of "Oh, yeah, I found it quite fascinating before, it's just, like you said, it's hard to wrap your head around, especially if you think about all things that could go wrong."
"Oh, you've read the paper," he says. "Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm an engineer, and for me, it all comes down to the equation. The equation's never wrong, and, it's sort of binary if you think about it. It's either wrong or it's right. The equation says exactly how a piece of machinery is going to behave, but you consider stuff like this, there's so many world stuff, like every time there's something with more than one outcome, the world splits, and there's a timeline for each one, and I don't know. Maybe I don't understand abstract concepts as well as I should, but it's just, I don't even know how to begin to wrap my head around a concept like that, it's simultaneously confusing, yet at the same time entirely clear. And yet, he says, look, I'm talking your ear off, but if you've read it, I tell you what, I could do with some pointers, mate. Maybe you could look over my notes or something and make sure I'm on the right track. He makes sure this time to rinse his hand under the tap, and then he shakes it, splashing water onto your vest, and he holds out a beefy hand, and he says, Jean, again.
He kind of, like, very awkwardly, like, grasps the top of his hand and shakes it and is like, Mitch, you know, I don't often assist with that sort of thing, especially if I've been drinking, but I suppose I could try and assist you in finding the right path.
And he raises his hand, suddenly excited, and he says, and there's a world out there where you just blew me off right now, told me to go back out there, quit thinking about school, and let my head down for the night. Well, I'm glad I'm on this path. Hey, look, everyone's drinking. It is the occasion, so let's ring in the new year. I'll buy you a drink, and then how about I show you my notes? I get the feeling that you're probably the only guy in this place who's gonna actually be interested in what I've written down.
You know, I mean, I don't want to, distract you from you studying if that's what you have to do, but I suppose it wouldn't be too much of an issue.
He nods. Alright, come on then. Anything you're partial to? He starts to walk towards the door of the bathroom. I go for those, what do they call them? Craft beers? Won't find them in a place like this. I'll just go for a Jack and Coke. You?
How... He kind of, like, stops for a moment and, like, starts thinking about it. I think I'll just ask the bartender what she suggests.
Good idea, he says. And, you know, if you think about it, technically, you're ordering every drink on the menu in this place, aren't you? Because when she asks what you want, it's going to split into multiple timelines, and in each timeline, you've ordered a different drink. He smiles, obviously proud of himself that he's able to vocalize this concept that he's been wrapping his head around all night. And then he eagerly grabs the door and flings it open, gesturing for you to follow him. Out in the bar, the people are gathered around the stage as the Elvis impersonator stops his off-key singing, and he says, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and looks like we're in the final stretch now. He looks over at the TV hanging above the bar. A countdown has appeared on screen. He says, so let's have 10 seconds of silent anticipation as we ring in the new millennium. I sure hope you've prepared yourselves for the coming apocalypse. He chuckles at his joke. And then the small dive bar fills with 100 voices counting down in unison. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
January 1st, 9:39 p.m. 2021. The world is on fire, literally. An orange man is on the news, the shops are empty of toilet paper, and a nuclear apocalypse is back on everyone's bingo cards. Every week, there seems to be a new disaster, but hey, at least the clocks didn't explode all those years ago. It would have been really bad. Over the last 21 years, you've all found your niches in G-Town's kindred hierarchy. You never quite left Samantha Stokes' guidance. Instead, after that night, that first night of hunting on your own went well, on New Year's Eve, 1999, rather than releasing you from her service, she extended an offer that most of her other neonates have never received. And that offer was to enter her employment as her agents, the Hounds of the Consul, assisting her in all matters of importance to relations between the Camarilla and the Anarchs. And over the last 20 years, performing these duties, you've all established yourselves as respected neonates in your sects, establishing meaningful ties among the Camarilla and the Anarchs. You've mostly gone your separate ways, only occasionally coming together when Samantha tasks you with a particularly important matter. Tonight is different. You've all been summoned to speak to a powerful member of the G-Town Anarchs. Barry. It's Barry. Barry Lovelace, the leader of the Lovelace family. A pack of gangrels with a nasty reputation. He sent word through Samantha that he needs to speak to all of you. And so he set up tonight's meeting via Zoom. It's a bit unorthodox, but considering the shit show that's been everyone's schedules lately, this is the best you could manage. Potential masquerade breach aside. Here you are. The message, "Meeting joined," pops up on the screen. And suddenly, each of your faces are lined up in a row. Down the bottom of the screen is Barry. A round-faced man with half-moon spectacles and a fluffy white beard. Santa Claus, if Santa Claus had fangs. He's calling from a small, cluttered office. A sign on the wall behind him reads, "Lovelace Financial Recuperation Services." Yep. You're all here on time. Sorry for the couple minutes delay. I had to get a bit of help with this, technology and all. He swings the camera around, and there you could see a teenage boy wearing a orange hoodie. He's sipping on what looks like a blood smoothie, and behind him there's a grinning blonde woman with a tray of cookies. My wife, Kathy, and my son, Barry Jr. Thanks for the help tonight, loves, he says, winking at them. Turns the camera around, facing him again. He says, look, I know some of you are with the Anarch, some of you are with the Cam, and look, I know normally you wouldn't have dealings with someone like me up there in the Prince's Court, but the reason I've called you, it's something that the Cam's gonna want dealt with as well. And he frowns, peers down at a watch on his wrist, and he says, there's someone else. There's an electronic beep as another window pops up on the screen. He says, and here they are now. Look, I got a bloke, I think he's a bloke, in the Hikata who owes me a boon. And they've sent their fledgling my way to assist on what you'll be dealing with tonight. Handle things from a more occult perspective. the reason why will be apparent to you shortly. So anyway, this is Cross, he says, introducing the newcomer to the meeting. And now, Ash, please introduce Cross, what Cross looks like, and where they're taking this Zoom call.
Yeah, you see that little weird creature on the monitor? Yeah, fucking creep, that one. Last 20 years have really made it internalize that narrative, and Cross sits there, also hunched over in a hoodie, also sipping on something red. And as it joins the call and as it's introduced, it doesn't really change its expression or move to say anything. It's just sitting there.
Now, Cross is young, as I understand it, says Barry. Cross's sire, Mort, said Cross is a fledgling, only 6 months dead, but I'm assured Cross knows what they're doing, and you're gonna find their skills invaluable for what I'm about to task you with. At this, he smiles and takes one more look at the screen, leaning forwards, and you can see your own faces reflected in his half-moon spectacles as he carefully takes in everyone in the Zoom call, and he says, Tig! Thought I'd be waiting for you, not for Cross. Cross is only 6 months dead, 20 years old, and you beat him to the call. What, do you have to call in all the grandkids to help you set this one up?
Tig's mouth moves, but nothing comes out.
So Tig, you know, yeah.
Looks to the side.
You see Tig reach over and look as if he's fiddling with something, and then suddenly there's a burst of static, and Tig's audio turns on.
Like this?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
Are you sure? No, Dad, look, you wanna... Stupid. Okay, fine. Can we replay what he said that first 3 minutes or so? I don't think we got that.
Barry rolls his eyes and he says, Tig.
Stupid thing. Oh, Barry.
Look, I keep saying to you,
what?
Tig.
No, I have to say it again. I'll have to say it again. I have to say... Hello, Barry. How are you?
Just fine, Tig. Just fine indeed. But, you know, I keep saying to Bunyip every time I meet him that, your pack gotta get with the times. See, there's a reason your pack ain't got much sway with the Anarchs, but my pack, it's 'cause we, keep our fingers on the pulse of the world, you understand? Tig, you're very, very familiar with Barry. He's the leader, the pack leader of one of 2 gangrel packs in the city. There's the pack that you're part of, the one that's led by your sire, Bunyip. Your pack mostly hangs out beyond the city limits in the industrial wasteland, doing their own thing. And despite what Barry says, your pack plays a very important role in G-Town. You protect the city's borders. You're the ones who are there on the front line, making sure lupines don't massacre every bloodsucker in the city. Barry's pack, however, and his pack, to your knowledge, consists purely of himself and his once mortal family, has political ambitions. The warlord of the waterfront has been missing for a few months now. Word on the street is that he went to the Middle East for unknown reasons. That's a thing older vampires do now. They call it the beckoning. They just wake up one night and for whatever reason decide they want to leave. And they don't come back. And it's been...
You know, Barry...
Go ahead.
You know, Barry, mate, if you're calling me here to boast about how well your pack's doing well, you know what they say about men who boast about their packs incessantly. Only kind of pack I'm interested in discussing tonight is a 6-pack, and they'll be after this call's over. Can we fucking get on with it?
All right, you got it, says Barry. And let me tell you...
No. Sorry, didn't mean to.
Let me tell you,
Swear
you're going to be earning that
Takes out
$6.
$1, hands it off camera.
So it's a well-known fact to most anarchs that Barry Lovelace has been angling to replace the missing warlord, becoming warlord of the waterfront. There are 3 warlords in G-Town, one for the wastes, one for the burbs, and one for the waterfront. And they're all united under Baron Archibald, the head honcho of the Anarchs. But he's mainly just a figurehead. It's the warlords that have the real power. They're the ones that have the pulse on their community, and they're the ones that act as a go-between for their people to the Baron. And Barry knows that if he's able to become the warlord of the waterfront, then he will be not only the most powerful gangrel in the city, but one of the most powerful kindred, full stop. He shrugs and takes a breath, and then he reaches forwards, adjusts his camera so it's centered right on his face, and he begins to talk. Alright, enough of these niceties. I'm afraid something unpleasant's happened. Something that unfortunately involves all of you. Shocking, isn't it? You're all such valued members of this domain. Couldn't believe it at first, but evidence does not lie. You see, a body's been found, currently sitting in the city morgue. 2 puncture wounds in the neck, drained of blood. All quite cliche, really.
Oh, for fuck's sake, who didn't clean up again?
That's exactly the question.
How long has it been dead?
Humans discovered it in the walls of a bar that was recently demolished. Apparently it's been there for quite some time. About 20 years, even. Good news is, lady that owned the bar, an evil old thing by the name of Lucky, kept fastidious tapes. The police have spooled through and they found footage of the victim entering the bar on December 31st, 1999. He never left. They're investigating everyone else who entered the bar, but we're one step ahead of them. You see, we looked over the tapes and identified you. All of you, save for Cross. As, Cross, not only were you not embraced at the time, I'm pretty sure if I got my maths right, you would have only just shoved out your mum's...
Yeah, I was just blind. Was it refrigerated? Was the body refrigerated? How is it still...
Found in the wall, mummified. Someone just stuffed it in the bathroom wall and left it there. Now, see, all of you, you were the only kindred in the bar that night. Now, this is an old murder. It's nothing too important, but on the other hand, this is exceptionally poor timing. Masquerade breaches happen all the time, we know, but the grisly nature of this one's gonna land it in some headlines, and, well, Prince Aveline is gunning to expand the influence of the cam in the city. She's feeling the pressure from Melbourne, and this is not something we need right now, especially with one of our warlords, MIA. Now, I've spoken to the other waterfront factions, the Bruja at the dump and the ministers at the art gallery. They called for your heads, but I managed to talk them down to just one execution. So you have 3 days to decide amongst yourselves who it will be. Alternatively, I suppose, you could find some way to pin the murder on someone else, or perhaps even find the real culprit, if it ain't one of you. Either way, I'll be holding a rant on the 4th, just after sunset. If we don't have a name by then, the blood hunt will be called on all of you. So sorry about this. I know it's a lot to take in, and well, you look at the time. I must be going. Chat to you lovelies later.
What has this got to do with me? Why am I here?
Well, did Mort not explain it to you, Cross? You're there to examine the body and do your thing. Talk to ghosts or whatever it is you Hecata do, and see if you can get a impartial witness that'll say which of these lovelies here did the deed.
I hate bar ghosts. Okay.
Chat to you lovelies later. Ta-ta!
Wait.
Lovelace's face disappears before you can even get a word in edgewise, and the message blinks on the screen. Barry has left the meeting.
Oh, this is just so typical.
Okay, who's picking me up?
Like this? And the screen takes portrait leaves screensaver. Alright. Gotta fucking keep poking the thing like a ruddy stare. Huh? So what I miss?
Oh, you missed a lot, actually.
In like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get the thing about...
I'm already dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. More
No, you're undead, you're gonna die. Then you'll be dead.
I got him like talking about body and the bar wall, and then it kind of did its thing, and there was like a Windows update.
Right. So to get you up to speed, we were in the
Windows
bar.
are fine,
There's a
by the way.
corpse. There's a corpse in the bar. Looks like it was one of us. Bloodhounds.
Wait, corpse looked like one of us?
Corpse. It looked like one of us did it,
Ow.
and it wasn't me.
So which one of you did
I can
it?
tell you that.
Wasn't me.
Well, I do
Bertha,
have
I can't help but notice you've been rather quiet in this call. And it's very unlike you to be so quiet.
I was just waiting for him to stop talking, because it obviously wasn't me.
Obviously.
So, off camera, you hear somebody say, "Tell her to stop doing her mean girls thing and get on with solving the problem." He's like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." Let's get on with solving the problem.
Which one of you did it?
Mitch kind of like raises his hand. Like, I do have a question. Which bathroom was it?
Yeah, you
So,
didn't say.
Barry, in all of his fantastic meeting-holding glory, left before we could find out that information. Just to let you know.
So,
Before giving us
we're
any
gonna
of the
need to go
info.
down there and get details, is what I'm thinking.
Dale, if Cross looks
Lock
up the
him in,
address of the place, how easy is it accessible for it?
Yeah, so Cross, so what is your haven? Where does Cross live?
It's a warehouse on the outskirts of town. I haven't placed it anywhere particularly on
So-
the map.
So Cross, you would...
You can do that now.
Yeah, Cross... So... The bar, and it is indeed Sip Sip Hooray, where all of these people were present 20-odd years ago, is right on the border of North Town and West Gateway, and it is quite a ways from where your haven is. Cross is used to catching Ubers, though, and it's not too much trouble for you to get there.
Cross disconnects from the call without any further words and starts making their way over.
Yeah. So you immediately disconnect from the call, and in your other hand,
I
you...
guess he had a Windows update. We better wait till he gets back then.
For God's sake, why did we lump with babysitting duty?
Yeah,
That's
I
very
think
British
that
about
quite
that.
often myself, actually. Regardless, it kept mentioning something about getting a lift, so I assume he's on his way, and we should all be on our way as well.
All right. And then you need to pick up.
I should be good.
I'm
All
quite
right.
capable of driving.
Neither a babysitter nor am I an Uber driver. I'll see you all there.
About,
And she
about how
disconnects.
much? Never mind. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's gone. Good riddance. Well, that's a little what? All right.
The app.
Yeah, I'll meet you all. They're all gone. All right.
Tig closes the app, leaving the empty meeting on the screen.
This meeting could have been a phone call.
And then you're on your way. So you've all decided to head straight to the bar. Is that going to be your first line of inquiry?
Yeah, Cross is
Definitely.
immediately going to summon any given spirit there and start interrogating it.
Yeah, when you get there. So you've got 3 nights to clear your names, or else you have to nominate one of your group to be executed. And obviously, you don't want to do this. None of you murdered anyone there that night. Your memories aren't entirely as clear as you'd like them to be, given it happened 20 odd years ago. You're pretty sure you didn't kill anyone. So, yeah, you think that heading to the bar, seeing this scene of the crime for yourselves, is probably the best way to start. So, it's just shy of 10 p.m. when you arrive at what was once Sip Sip Hooray. Tig is the first to arrive, but only by a couple of seconds. His old Holden ute rumbles to a stop on the edge of the curb, and then the rest of you pull up behind him.
Yeah.
Cross already stands on the footpath, having arrived via Uber a few minutes earlier, and Cross doesn't even seem to register when the rest of you arise. It has its back turned to you, staring straight at what was once Sip Sip Hooray.
Yeah, Cross is using the binding fetter, which I rolled 4 successes on, just trying to find anything useful around there.
Yep. So where the bar once stood, there's now only a mess of broken brick, a few unmanned excavators, and some flimsy police tape. You've used... so you got 6 successes to find... 4 successes to find a fetter. So you barely even acknowledge the others as they climb out of their vehicles. Instead, you make your way along the path towards the pile of rubble that used to be Sip Sip Hooray. You duck under the police tape and jump down into the big square hole in the dirt where the foundation used to be, that's now been dug up and reduced to a pile of concrete and dirt on the edge of the footpath. And if the others catch a glimpse of your face, Cross, they would see your eyes roll back into your sockets as the irises expand, turning a deep black, the black of the darkness. Your vision turns... The colour drains from your vision as you peer into the Shadowlands, gazing through the twisted metal, shattered tiles, and splintered wood that are illuminated in featureless shades of grey. There's a strange white light emanating from the very corner of the hole, roughly where the bathrooms would have been, the back of the bar. And so you follow it, Cross, your body seemingly moving without you commanding it, drawn to the light. You lift up some pieces of concrete rubble, some shattered tiles, and with your hands begin to dig into the compacted earth. Bright light fills your eyes as you reach into the hole you've created and produce a black Elvis wig. In your hands, the surface of it seems to sparkle with spectral energy. Everyone else just sees you holding the tip of its fake hair between two fingers, contemplating it.
Oh, fuck me, they go Elvis.
Okay, so you see Cross kneeling down, slings their backpack off its shoulder, and opening it up, pulls out just a simple lunchbox, plastic lunchbox. Opens it up, pulls out some gloves and slides those on, and then pulls out a surgical needle with a vial attached to the back, and withdraws a vial of blood from the crook of its arm where a phlebotomist would.
Yeah. Well, while Cross is doing this...
Do you want to rouse for that, actually, since I'm pulling blood?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, make a rouse check. So while...
I don't get hungrier.
Don't get hungrier. And you are all, of course, at Hunger 1, by the way. So, as Cross performs its task with a very clinical, almost machine-like precision, still not even acknowledging the presence of the rest of you, what would everyone else like to do? Is there anything you'd like to do in particular?
Valerie is instinctively going to walk from each coterie member to each coterie member, using her lie detector and asking them one by one directly to their face, "Was it you? Did you do it?" No wavering in her eyes or her voice whatsoever, piercing directly into their sight.
Piss off.
As each of the coterie members answers, protesting that you would even consider them to have performed this masquerade breach. Their auras flare up one by one with emotional energy, and you determine that they're telling the truth. They're just as fucked as you are.
I could have sworn. Never mind. Alright, looks like we're all royally screwed then. Unless it is that Lassie over there has found something interesting.
Well, are you doing anything?
Well, if you want Lassie, I can do something. Take walks to the back of the ute, opens up the gate, and calls out Baba and Duke.
The two massive blue healers leap off the back of the ute, bounding down the road, wagging their tails and barking as they charge towards the remnants of Sip Sip Hooray.
Oh, I see you brought the wife and kids.
No, they're back at home. I just brought Baba and Duke. I swear, you're off your game today.
Mitch, did you want to do something?
Oh, I was going to say Mitch does not seem to like the dogs very much.
Yeah,
But
shies away.
walks over to Cross and is like, since we're kind of all in this together, I was hoping that maybe you could tell me what you're doing. I'm taking notes on the situation so that we all can have our stories straight. Just to make sure that none of us get blood hunted. So, what exactly is it that you're doing?
Cross doesn't look up at Mitch, but just asks, "Do you recognize this?" Gesturing to the wig.
Well, yes, that is the wig of an Elvis impersonator that probably was there that night, from what I remember. It's, well,
Good. He's dead. I'm summoning him.
Don't you think that might be a little bit perhaps rude, or maybe we should try to look through other avenues to see if, there's a way to solve this without doing that? That seems disrespectful.
Cross just sort of doesn't really process this question. It just sort of seems like it's ignoring you, but it doesn't really sort of get through to it.
Yeah.
Without either of them noticing, Valerie is standing behind them and kind of announces, "Oh, ghoulies and ghosts. We are going to die."
So, Tig, are your two dogs your familiars?
They are indeed.
Yeah.
Two out of 10 or so.
Yeah, so go ahead and make for me a charisma plus animal ken check.
I'm going to tell him to have a sniff around and see what you can find. That isn't like wigs or creepy dead people.
As this is happening, Cross is squirting some drops of the removed blood onto the wig, and it's beginning a summon spirit ritual.
Yep. You did not get hungrier. And
No, I didn't.
Three successes for the pups.
successes. And as you close your eyes, Cross, you're vaguely aware of Tig barking an order to the dogs, and you hear the two dogs as they start to fan out, leaping down into the ditch and sniffing the ground as Tig carefully follows them. Close your eyes and you begin to whisper into the Shadowlands. The others can't hear your voice, as it doesn't emanate in the material realm. Instead, your voice pierces the veil and calls upon the ghost linked to this wig, this fetter, to come forth from the Shadowlands and to manifest to you. And yet, the Shadowlands are quiet, empty. And as you repeat the summons again and again, you realize that something is missing. Duke begins to bark loudly, wagging his tail as he starts furiously digging into a pile of concrete.
Oh, what's this?
You step over
And I'll go get the shovel and help him.
Yep. So, you grab the shovel off the back of the ute, step over to where Duke is, and use the shovel to pry away some of the debris, allowing the healer to stick his front paws and head under a chunk of concrete. Half his body crawls forwards, wedged underneath the debris, his tail still wagging furiously. And then about a minute later, he extracts himself a square scrap of paper in his mouth. You kneel down and carefully remove the paper from the dog's teeth. It's a photograph covered in dust and mud and grime, but just barely visible underneath this layer of filth is a picture of a man dressed in a very convincing facsimile of Elvis Presley. signature.
I remember this fella.
A signature, half faded, written in magic marker, is scrawled across the top right corner. You can't. You can try to decipher the name, perhaps, if you want to.
Does Cross notice this?
Yes, Cross. You notice this.
Okay.
Handwriting's worse than my doctor's.
Mitch will take a crack at kind of deciphering the handwriting.
Yeah. So, Mitch, go ahead, make for me an intelligence investigation check.
Cross is going to walk over to join the group, or rather to look at the photo as well, and it's sort of, you can see it sort of picking at its arm with its nails.
Attention suddenly drawn to the photo.
3 successes.
If you were really perceptive, you'd notice Cross, like, some little facial twitches.
Facial switches. So,
really didn't like that it didn't. That it forgot that it needed a name.
So, how many successes did you get, Mitch?
3.
3. Yeah. So, Mitch, you grab the photo out of Tig's hand and
There now.
bring it up
Yes,
close to
politely.
your face.
Oh, well, you did ask. He did ask. That's important.
In life, you were an academic, and in death, you're still something of one. You still keep in touch with some of your old contacts at the university, and you very occasionally make an appearance as a guest professor. And you've learned through years and years of academia how to decipher the incredibly messy writing of PhD candidates and students that are surviving on 2 hours of sleep and 5 cans of Monster. And you're able to quite easily read the writing. H. Williams. 99.
The picture is just of the impersonator, right?
Just
all
of
on
the
his own.
impersonator, yep. And you get the
Right.
feeling that maybe it's... The photo was quite obviously not taken at the bar. In the photo, he appears to be he appears to be performing in some sort of outdoor arena with spotlights and a smoke machine, and you get the impression it's probably some sort of promotional signed photo. He probably handed these out during gigs to anyone who wanted them.
Would you be telling us what the name is, Mitch?
Yeah, Mitch would take down a note. He would switch notebooks, take down the note, and then be like, okay. So, we at least have a first initial and a last name, H. Williams. That might help us find more information out about him and perhaps people he knew, or even help us find him at the morgue if we need to go there.
First initial.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I need a full name.
Full name. Yeah. I mean, you could take a stab at it, but...
He was an Elvis impersonator. That's kind of unique around here. Maybe you could look it up on the interweb.
Yeah, Cross is a step ahead and has already pulled out its phone and is searching for H. Williams Elvis impersonator and setting the timescale of the search to around the late 90s.
Yep, go ahead, make me...
Obviously that's going to be tricky because, internet then, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Make me an intelligence investigation check, please.
Sure, that's a very good roll for me. 5.
Yes,
5.
it is.
Wordlessly, you find it, Cross. You sigh and hold up your phone, displaying an old news article. An article from the G-Town Advertiser, affectionately known as the Addy. From early December 1999. It's a very short article. It's advertising a New Year's hoedown at the Sip Sip Hooray, and proudly advertises a live performance from the Gateway region's most well-known Elvis tribute, Henry Williams.
Okay, so immediately Cross is going to return to the wig and the blood and just muttering, like repeating Henry Williams to itself to not forget.
I figured
and
it
it's
was
gonna
a
try out,
Henry.
searching again.
Snatch the photo out of Mitch's hands and lay it down in your case next to the feather.
It totally would do that, yeah.
Drop more of your vitae upon it, and then studying the picture, your eyes seeming to fixate upon the signature in the corner. You call out the ghost's name. Your voice echoes throughout the Shadowlands. And the ghost of Henry Williams feels the call of your voice, the tug of their fetter. And they appear before you. A misshapen black shroud of shadow, glimmering yellow eyes, floating above the Elvis impersonator wig and the photo. Their black forms seeming to paint the shades of grey around you with a tint of darkness. No one else could see that the wraith has manifested, but you all suddenly feel the temperature sharply decrease.
Is
probably go
Cross
nuts.
aware of its real-world surroundings much?
Yeah, you'd be aware of your real-world surroundings, because they look pretty much the same in the Shadowlands. They're just colourless, and the shadows are deeper.
Including the people there?
Yeah, including the people.
Cross addresses Henry and says, do you know where we are?
The air around everyone grows bone-chilling cold, and Tig's two dogs begin to bark.
Easy
Unsettled.
now. Easy now.
Can Mitch proc seeing the unseen because he can tell that there's something
You
supernaturally
sure can.
happening
Yeah.
here?
So you turn on Sense the Unseen, and I'd like you to go ahead and make for me, Mitch, a Wits plus Auspex or Resolve plus Auspex roll.
I have better resolve, so I'll use that. 4 successes.
4 successes. Fixate upon the location that Cross is staring at. You rouse the blood. Within you, your beast immediately growls, unsettled, as the wraith uncloaks itself before your eyes, appearing to you as the Elvis impersonator that you remember from that night 20 years ago. Cross asks its question. Do you know who we are? The wraith is silent for a moment, and then it whispers simple answer. 1 not known. 4 known. 4 there. Yes. On the last night.
Okay. I assume Cross can interpret this easily.
Yeah.
It's used to this shit. Cool.
Basically saying it doesn't know who you are, but it recognizes the others.
Yeah, I was born around the time that you died. Do you know how you died?
The wraith flickers before you, its eyes glow bright red, and at this point, Mitch, You, seeing the wraith as the Elvis impersonator, see the man visibly flinch on the spot and see him lower his head in what looks to be a pretty obvious look of regret and sadness.
Mitch kind of steps in and is like, Cross, I appreciate this. I think this is very helpful, but it seems like you might be upsetting him. Perhaps we could be a little bit more tactful with questions.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how.
Right. Mitch kind of turns to the wraith and asks a question. Was there anything particularly suspicious that you noticed the night that you died? Something out of place in the bar?
The Elvis impersonator raises his head, and then he speaks, although only Cross hears him. Man, but not man. Not yet man, and yet not ever a man. Took more than it needed, didn't care, and then laid to rest by woman's hand.
Spoiler, you might want to write that down.
Oh, it's been written down, don't worry. Mitch is like, did he respond to that question? Unfortunately, my powers only extend so far.
Oh, yeah, Cross will relay it, probably with a couple of errors. And then Cross will say, it sort of hesitates because it actually doesn't want to make it uncomfortable, but it's like, do you know who the woman was?
The one with much fortune.
It says the one with much fortune.
Well, there's an obvious candidate there. Though,
I think Cross wouldn't put that together. You might see like a puzzled blank expression on its face.
Hang on.
Laid to rest.
Problem is I'm playing
not
somebody who's
extinguished, says the spirit. Not
Hang on, what was that?
extinguished. Not extinguished. Laid to rest by the fortunate one. Fortunate enough to
talking
not
about
have
lucky.
to answer.
He's talking about lucky. He has to be. And I rolled like one success on my 2 dice to remember.
Yeah, you remember Lucky, the owner of the bar. I wonder where she is now.
Who's Lucky?
Who's he? What are we talking about?
Lucky was the owner of the bar. She was a bartender, and she knew about us. She said her autumn days were behind her, and I didn't have nothing to worry about because I seemed like one of the nice ones.
No, not Lucky. I meant, I'm not the only one who can't see who they're talking to, right?
Cross like loudly sighs and is
I
like,
thought he was doing one of them Malkavian things. He's not?
aren't you like 20 years dead?
Aren't you 6 months? What's the point?
The point is that I'm talking to a wraith. Is this really your first time seeing someone
You're
talking
doing
to
what
a
now?
wraith? Oh my god. Cross just ignores them and returns to...
Listen, I missed some of that there Zump call, so, you know.
Zump.
I know a bit, but this is going to be the first time I've heard of a Hecata or whatever you are.
Hecata, look, I'm technically Samedi. You know what? I'll tell you later.
Sam Eddie.
Yeah, Sam Eddie.
All right.
Cross turns back to Henry and says, "The woman, was it Lucky?"
Feminine with fortune. The server of drinks Yes, lucky. Lucky, but remember the one who extinguished, cloaked in orange.
Cross is going to be, as Henry says it, relaying everything to Mitch.
Mitch is very furiously taking notes, but he keeps switching between notebooks for various pieces of information.
Right, so what we've got to go on is somebody orange did this. I can see our time has been well spent.
Well, it's probably referring to It's probably referring to an aura. What would an orange aura refer to, actually?
Anyone who has Auspex may make an intelligence plus Auspex roll.
Is anybody good with auras?
Sure.
Oh, leave it to me. Don't worry.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's
mate.
an orange aura do?
2 successes.
Two
Your turn.
successes? We'll see what
Total failure. Sorry.
I'll tell you.
Nothing.
So Mitch, an orange aura usually means that the person is overconfident, boisterous. They might be in the mood for a fight. They might be trying to cause trouble. They're restless and bored and want some action.
Right. Well,
Did they relay this onto the group?
yes. And he adds, well, I do remember that night. I don't know if anyone else does. Someone who was getting quite loud with someone. I don't remember much of the conversation. Something about cameras, I think.
Valerie looks directly at Bouncer.
Yes, I remember that pig.
But,
Excuse me?
Me.
but
pig,
as
alright.
far as
There was a
you-
pig at the bar?
Man, the 90s were a different time.
What?
You said there was a pig.
Are you messing with us?
Cross is just blank for a moment. It's like, what? Oh, it's a metaphor thing. Yeah, okay.
As far as you remember, though, Bouncer, pretty sure that guy was not kindred. Pretty sure he was mortal. And from what you've been told, this is very obviously someone who fed and didn't clean up after themselves. It's at this point that Cross turns around to ask more questions of Henry, and you see, Cross, that the wraith is gone.
Ah, shit.
The fetter,
Fuck. Shit.
the fetter no longer glows with spectral energy, and the temperature is slowly but surely rising to what it was before you summoned the ghost.
Okay. Henry's gone.
Yes, well,
Well,
we're here.
Oh, good.
I think we got at least a decent amount of information. You know, I wouldn't feel too bad about it.
Yeah, I should have known. I should have been faster. And you see it picking at its arm again.
I'm sure you did all right then.
Cross picks at its arm and then crouches down, starting to pile all of its instruments back into their case. Above you, outside the ditch, you hear the sound of footfalls crunching over gravel. And then a man with a long brown beard, wearing tattered tracksuit pants and an old AC/DC t-shirt covered in various stains, appears at the edge of the ditch, peering down at you. Looking for loot? Don't bother. Won't find nothing in there. Lucky stripped the place before they came. She took every last thing not bolted down. Fierce woman, that one.
About
Yeah, well-
Lucky. You seem to know her quite well. Do you happen to know where she might be?
And who'd you be? Lucky wouldn't want me just spouting her business to any Tom, Dick and Harry that comes down this way. Say, you don't happen to have a buck to spare or something, would ya?
Valerie moves up and uses her insight on him to see exactly what he's insecure about.
Yeah, go ahead. Make me a wits awareness and add your auspex. You're using your lie detector, which we've tweaked to allow you to just determine the general emotional state of somebody.
Oh, I'm happy to have that how it was. That's okay.
Sure. Yeah, alright, just do a wits insight.
Success of 5.
So, he's standing above you on the edge of the ditch, peering down at all of you, and based on the way he keeps shifting his gaze between you all, narrowing his eyes, you get the impression that perhaps he's the guardian, the watchman. He's been tasked with looking over Lucky's old bar and making sure that nobody who she wouldn't approve of is fiddling around in what remains of her property.
Oh, so I see Lucky does mean a lot to you. It seems like a shame we've come and messed up the place a little bit. It's a pity you weren't here to keep an eye on it, like you probably should have been. Why don't we all go talk to Lucky and see what she has to say about this? We're good friends of hers, you see.
You can go ahead and make a manipulation persuasion check.
Can do. Three.
Hey, look, Lucky used to toss a free drink my way and a couple of bucks every now and then. So I've been doing her a favour, making sure that people aren't mouking around in her business who mean to bring her trouble. She's not in a good way. Fierce woman, though, that one. Not surprised she had a body or two beneath her floorboards.
Yep. She used to toss you a drink or two, did she?
Sure did.
I got a 6-pack of Carlton's back in the ute. If you want one, we'd like to talk to Lucky, and you can have the pack.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that, but, look, you're obviously not looters. You're too well dressed for that, so I gotta ask, what do you want with Lucky, and how did you even know to come here? I was here when they pulled the body out of the ditch, but, as far as I know, it ain't been in the news yet or anything.
Everybody knows Lucky from Hip Hip Hooray, or Sip Sip Hooray.
She done me a good turn a few whiles back. Back when I was younger.
Well, alright then. I guess she won't mind so much, says the homeless man. He waits for you all to clamber out of the ditch, and then he makes a point of staring straight at Tig's ute. He doesn't budge until Tig makes his way over to the cab, pulls the door open and extracts a can of VB from the glove compartment. He hands it to the man, and the man immediately opens it. He takes a sip. Bit warm, but it'll do.
Like steps back as soon as anybody starts, like as soon as he starts having alcohol.
Yeah, steps back. He looks over at you. He says, "What's the matter, boy? Too young to drink?
Not a boy.
No coppers around. Don't think anyone would mind."
Nobody
Easy,
minds.
mate.
But before you get too much into that, where is Lucky?
He takes a sip. Alright. Lucky's over at, G-Town, General. She's, not in a good way. She's got the big C. Cancer.
Oh. Shit.
I ain't sure which type,
Oh, yeah.
but it's stage 4, he says, taking another sip. Ain't got long to go, from what she says. But that ain't why the bar's in this state. Sip Sip Hooray was demolished because it wasn't up to code. The Lucky'd been fighting the city council up until the very end, but when the big C reared its head and she had to go to hospital, she wasn't able to fight them anymore. Council got their way and they demolished the bar. That's when they found the body. I was there when the coppers came, pulled him out of the wall. Thought it was an old Halloween decoration at first. Skin was all leathery, hanging on the bones. It was mummified, still wearing the Elvis get-up. Coppers said apparently the construction workers were posing with it when they dug it up. Thought the same thing I did.
That's... I won't lie, it's kind of fucked up. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Well, thanks for the tip, mate.
No
Yeah, have a good night,
worries. No worries. Thanks for the drink, mate. He takes another sip. Oh, if you're gonna pay a visit to Lucky, tell her I sent you so she don't think you're more bloody journos trying to ask her questions about Elvis.
Well, it seems to me we have 2 places to head on to next. First Lucky, then the morgue.
Homeless man nods. He says, "Morgue. Ah, so you're looking into it, are you?"
Unfortunately.
Well, look, I hope you...
Excuse me.
He looks over at Mitch. He says, "Yeah?
Sorry, I don't think we ever really caught your name.
Oh, me, yeah. I'm Wilbur. Wilbur Woo." He holds out a mud-stained hand.
Mitch basically only grabs like the tip of his finger with like his hand and very oddly shakes it.
You know, I'm Wilbur.
Pleasure.
She'll know who I am. Just say Wilbur sent you. Look. All the coppers have said is it ain't their fault. Nothing that happens in this town's their fault. I'm sure they have their own lines of inquiry or what have you, but, look, more people looking for the fucking monster who did that, stuck a guy in the bloody wall. What a way to go, man. More people looking for that psycho, the better, I think. So good luck. I hope you bloody find him.
Yeah, I hope for our sakes we do as well.
Your sakes. What, you got a dog in this fight? You knew the guy or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, well, you're a good mate then, and I'm sure he'd appreciate his mates looking into this. Look, I'm not sure how I can help, but, you know, I've got my eye and ear on the street, and if there's something I can do for you, just let me know. You can usually find me around here. He points down the road towards a park at the end of the street, and his finger shakes as it lingers, pointing at the brick toilet block on the very edge of the park. Oh, if it's night time, I'm usually sleeping over in them toilets. If it's during the day, you can find me up on Ryrie Street. I'll be begging for cash and loose change.
Well, if we ever need anything else, we'll make sure that Tig here brings you some extra frothies.
Much appreciated. Alright, I'll let you get back to it. Gotta head back before that fucking dog takes all me bed. And then he turns and begins to shuffle back up the road towards the park, and you watch as he steps through the gate, makes his way up the dirt trail, and disappears into the toilet block.
Oh, well, this is going swimmingly.
Working out so far. Man, this is like Matlock. We got clues all over the place.
Yeah.
But not enough yet.
So, more than lucky, right?
Yeah, it's up to you. What order you want to do
It
it
sounds
in.
like Lucky doesn't have a lot longer to go. The sooner we get to her, the better, probably.
I mean, she's unlikely to die tonight, but you never know.
I just have a feeling that it might be better to go to the morgue first. We might find something there that we can bring up to Lucky.
You can always
I
split
have
up
a
if you
feeling.
like.
That's a good point. Probably only a few of us should go in the morgue. I don't know I'd be much use there.
I'll go.
Yeah, good idea for Cross.
Rest of us will wait for you. And whoever else is going in.
So Cross and
Well,
Mick.
there are 5 of us.
Take
We could just
notes.
split up.
Yeah.
Could, yeah.
So who'd
I wouldn't
like
want
to,
seeing Lucky again.
who'd like to go where?
I'll go
Getting
to
a party,
Lucky.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome to Vampire. This can happen.
Yeah. And Bouncer, where are you going?
I'm not sure where I'd be more useful.
Well,
Hmm.
there's 2 people here who can see them wraths, so why don't they go to the morgue and rest of us go talk with Lucky?
Yeah, see what you can.
Yeah. Suppose I'd probably be better trying to talk to her, yeah.
So by the time you've concluded your investigations of what was once Sip Sip Hooray, it's about 10 past 11. Tig clambers into his ute, and Valerie and Bouncer climb into their vehicles. The ute's engine roars to life, sputtering as Tig screams down the street, and Bouncer and Valerie follow behind. Bouncer, Valerie, what do you drive?
Valerie doesn't drive. She pays for Ubers everywhere she needs to go.
Ah, yep, so she's going to be riding shotgun in Bouncer's car tonight.
Well, she asks nice enough.
Valerie will still be taking an Uber.
He'll be taking an Uber, yeah. So as
Icon.
Bouncer, what do you drive?
Nothing special. It's probably some, like, second-hand cheap Holden.
Yeah, so just an old, a 1992 Holden Commodore, and
Yeah.
as Bouncer climbs into the faded red car and screams off after the ute, Valerie just pulls out her phone, starts swiping, while Mitch heads over to his car, the black Mercedes that he's able to afford only on an academic salary, and waits for Cross to climb in on the passenger side. And then the engine comes to life, much quieter than the old Holden and the ute, and its tyres crunch over gravel as it quietly makes its way into the city. So, let's go to Lucky first, since there's more of you going there. By the time you arrive at Gateway General Hospital, it's about 11:40. At this time of night, the city's nightlife is in full swing, and you have to pass straight through downtown and then onto Chilwell Road to make your way to the hospital. Right through the city's entertainment sector, the streets are packed with revelers, and traffic slows to a crawl by the time you get to the hospital, you're back in the sleepy part of the city, out in Bayside, which is a mostly residential suburb, but the hospital is right on Chilwell Road, wedged in between two office buildings and across the road from a tax firm and a supermarket. The hospital's a grim sort of place. Grey concrete and tattered old signs. Tig and Bouncer park their cars in the nearly empty parking lot and wait just a few moments for Valerie to climb out of her Uber and join them. And then you make your way up the path and push open the glass double doors into the emergency department. The queue inside is long enough that people are sitting on the floor. All of the harsh-looking plastic seats scattered throughout the reception lobby are taken, and the room is filled with the pained moaning and impatient gibbering of the people waiting to be seen. There's a single overworked-looking triage nurse behind the reception counter. She's currently busy admitting a patient who's just been brought in. He's got his hand wrapped around his left arm and he's screaming, "Ah, it's fucking bleeding! It's fucking bleeding!" As a young woman with red hair standing next to him alternates between shushing him, "Shh, shh, it's okay, it's okay. His Medicare, that would be, shh, stop, it's alright, it's okay, shh, stop it." And there's a whole queue lined up behind them all the way to the door. It's going to take at least an hour standing in the queue before you're seen. But you also notice some very large-looking ventilation shafts in the walls at several points throughout the reception lobby. And isn't that a dream you've always had, to crawl around in the vents like Batman? No? Well, the receptionist looks overworked and seems to be going through the patients as quick as she can, trying to admit them without having to draw it out any longer than necessary. Keep in mind that visiting hours are most definitely over. How would you like to approach this?
Queues are not something that Valerie waits for, so she marches right up to the attending nurse and stands in between her and the person who she's trying to see.
You gonna turn on your presence?
Excuse me. Definitely.
Is that awe?
So I was just about to say that, yeah, that's all.
Turn on your awe and you clear your throat. Excuse me. And the receptionist immediately turns away from who she's speaking to, as do a number of people in the queue. Some of them whispering, "Who does she think she is? Passing the queue. Hey, we've been here for 20 minutes and..." The man who's clutching his arm says, "Hey! Who the fuck you think you are?"
Oh, hush, you're not going to die. But the person we're looking for might very well be. I know visiting hours are over, but this is terribly important. We have a dear friend, Lucky, who's on her very last legs. If we don't see her now, we might miss her.
Lucky, says the receptionist. We don't have anyone by that name here. I suppose that's a nickname. I'm sorry, if you could tell me what she's been admitted for, maybe I can help, but...
Stage 4 cancer.
Stage 4 cancer? Oh!
So she'll probably be in the ICU, most likely.
Oh, you mean Annie Wells? Yeah, oh.
Annie, of course. She loves to go by Lucky.
And you're her friends?
Oh, her best friends.
Best friends. Well, It is quite late, but she did say she'd expect some friends, but oh, there's been a lot of journalists in all night to speak to her, and I did promise I wouldn't disturb her unless she looks you up and down, and she says, and I do say, you certainly look like the type. No offense, ma'am.
Valerie quickly turns on the faux waterworks. Oh, my dear Lucky, she might not make it. Please, you have to let us see her.
Go ahead, make me a charisma performance check. Add your presence.
That's a 3.
3. The receptionist bites her lip. She's clearly deciding what she wants to do. In front of the desk, the man clutching his arm whispers to the woman next to him. And then he says, come on! Hurry up, just let him through! I'm bleeding to death here!
And at that point, Tig's gonna turn around. Would you fucking man up? You're disgracing yourself and your mother in front of this whole fucking lobby.
He immediately closes his mouth, and the woman next to him gives you she rolls her eyes and sighs, giving you a look that is very grateful, and then she peers at her companion, looking him in the eyes with a stern look on her face, and says, please, be quiet. You're fine. The doctor will put a bandage on it, treat the wound, and we'll be home within the hour. The triage nurse sighs, and she says, okay. Lucky, was it? Oncology ward's down that way. Room number 2, he says. Try to make it quick. Visiting hours ended at 8 p.m.
Continuing on with her little tirade, she shakes her hand and says, oh, thank you so much. Your kindness knows no bounds. And as soon as she's turned around and is out of eyesight, her face returns to like a sullen, bored look. And she looks around for exactly where to go.
You follow Valerie past the reception desk, making your way through the corridors of the hospital, and you find Lucky in room 2 of the oncology ward with 7 other women. The others are asleep, snoring softly in their beds, the curtains pulled around them. Lucky, though, is awake. She's watching supernatural reruns on a small TV hanging over her bed. As you step up to her, you hear a voice from the TV. No, Dean. You have to stake them and then put them out in sunlight. That's how you deal with bloodsuckers. Lucky peers at you as she sees you approach. She's aged a lot in the last 20-odd years. Her once red hair is stark white and her face hollow and tired. Her eyes, though, are as sharp as ever. When she speaks, her voice is in a low, weary rasp. So what's this then? Vampires. Oh, good. You here to kill me? You better do it quick or the cancer will beat you to it.
No, it ain't like it ain't like that. It ain't like that.
I remember you, she says. Pig. Yeah, you were there that night, weren't you? So yeah. I suppose this is about the poor bloke they pulled out of the wall.
Yeah, the Elvis fella.
Yep.
Don't suppose you've been down to the bar already? Don't suppose you found much?
We found a very helpful homeless man who said to say hello. Wilbur, I think he said his name was. Wilbur Weir.
Wilbur. Sniffling idiot. Used to give him a free beer so he'd piss off and not scare the other customers away.
I'm glad you said it.
So, what can I do you for? Not sure how much I remember from the night. but I'll rack my brains real hard if I have to.
That's what we were hoping, and I'm sorry to disturb you for it.
Reflexively, Valerie pulls out a notebook and a pen and goes directly into journalism mode.
Yeah, starts
All
writing
right,
down
so-
everything Lucky has to say.
That night, was there anybody noticeable who came into the bar, aside from us, I mean? Anybody rowdy, or any regulars who caused you trouble on a regular basis who were there that night?
As you finish your question, up on the screen, Sam says, "Oh, they can pass as human. You have to wait until they strike, that's how you tell them apart." Lucky thinks, and then she says, Rowdy. Oh, there was that bloke in the denim overalls. He was harassing a bunch of girls. The one with the camera, and a couple other party goers, and she looks up and she sees Bouncer there. You put him in his place, though, if I remember. After you spoke to him, he waited for the countdown and then he left. Didn't bother anyone else.
Do you happen to know his name? Was he a regular of any kind?
Not a regular, no, but... She looks up at Bouncer and she says, "What do you think? Reckon he's the one who killed your man?" All I'm saying is obvious vampires did it and he doesn't look like he was one of you. What do you do with him if I give you the name?
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was one of us. He just seemed to be a mortal. So I find it highly unlikely that he had anything to do with it.
You never dismiss a lead until you've got them all.
Probably ask questions is all.
Damo, he said his name was, when he ordered his first drink. Didn't see him again after that night.
Damo.
Right, well, so we've got a first name.
Remember I carded him. She strokes her chin. Damo. Damien Rogers, yeah.
Shit. Says you have some good memory.
I remember everyone who came through my bar, everyone I've served, she says. Had to be good at remembering faces. Back when I was a hunter.
That's what makes you a good proprietress.
Tell you what, didn't expect being a vampire hunter would have skills transferable to bartending. But there you go. Spent most of me 20s as a hunter. By the time I was 30, there wasn't any point anymore. World made monsters faster than I could kill them, so I put away me steak, owned a bar instead. Never lost the knack for picking a vamp out of a crowd, though. You're not as subtle as you think. Most people are just fucking idiots.
Valerie just stares down her nose through her glasses.
Kind of impressed, actually. That's a dangerous line of work. You ever run into werewolves? They're kind of worse, though.
Shakes her head. Nah, didn't deal with them. They keep to themselves for the most part. Besides, much harder to take down. Bloodsuckers is the real danger. Bad ones, anyway. Good ones like you know how to limit themselves. The bad ones that do the damage, as no doubt you are aware.
That's what we're here trying to undo. Look, take a sit down. Is there anything we can do for you?
Look, not gonna be much that's gonna be worth to me at this point. I'm just about to shuffle out of here. But I tried real hard to save the bar. That backstabbing bitch in the council chambers sent the inspector around even after I promised to pay a bribe. Person I tried to bribe Goes by the name Mark Bradley. He used to come into Sip Sip Hooray every weekend. Thought that meant something. Apparently not. Soon as he became a counsellor, he forgot all the good times we'd had and set his mind to shutting me down.
The counsellor? Interesting. I ran into somebody that night who wanted to talk to some counsellor. Do you remember him coming into the bar that night?
You talking about Cleopatra?
Oh, lovely girl.
One and the same, love. Mark Bradley, counsellor. Used to moonlight as Cleopatra on the weekends.
Valerie just, starts for a second, remembering the conversation that they had together.
And how she was hating that Elvis was stealing her attention.
But look, he could be the killer. Wasn't very happy that Elvis was there that night. Thought she'd get a lot of tips on account of it being New Year's Eve. Walked away with just over $5 in her case.
To probe you one more time about your speciality, have you ever gotten a good look at Mark? Did he look like he wasn't as smart as he thought he was?
If he was a vamp, he was good at not showing it. That said, all I know is that whoever killed Elvis left 2 holes in his neck. Don't have to be a vamp necessarily, but I'd say it'd be worth checking out Mark Bradley. Even if he's not the one who killed the bloke, he's the one who shut down my bar, and if you could get him to apologise, say nothing personal, then at least I'll be able to shuffle off out of here with no regrets.
All right.
This is quite the night.
Reason he shut it down is because there's no back door at Sip Sip Hooray. Used to be. Fire escape. But I boarded it up to stop people sneaking in. Don't even understand why the council was so upset. What business is it as theirs anyway? Another thing. Mark fucking Bradley, now you've got me on the topic. He and Elvis, they were always together. That was the first time Elvis had performed there, but he'd been in to drink a few times and they were always canoodling in the back room, and that's where I found the body. Come to think of it. Then suddenly she looks up at you, opens her mouth and says, "Oh, shit. Forget I said that. I mean, that's where the coppers found the body, pulled it out of the wall."
I don't think you can just take that back. Thank you for the information.
You want to press her on it?
Yeah, definitely.
How do you want to do it?
Now, it sounds like you're holding back a little bit, and just because you're in a bed doesn't mean I'm not going to grill you.
Go ahead and make me a charisma persuasion check. Add your presence.
Yeah, go easy a little bit. She's come on, be respectful.
Success of 4.
Success of 4. She got 5 successes.
Ooh.
Ooh.
She smiles, revealing her yellowed teeth, and she says, "Soft touch ain't gonna work, love. I ain't saying anything more, 'cause it don't really matter. I know I'm not the one who killed that bloke, and you know you're not the one who killed that bloke. That's all I'm gonna say."
Thing is, there's people who know we were there that night don't know we're the ones who didn't kill the bloke. And they're gonna do some pretty horrible stuff to us if we don't find out who did.
She coughs.
So,
Sounds like a bloodsucker problem. Not a me problem.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess.
if you want
yeah, I
us to,
suppose it is.
I tell
If you want
you,
us to talk to the councillor and get an apology out of him, you better start playing ball. You've already got the information that we want, so if you want us to do you a favour, you should have to do us one back.
she smiles and she says, look, love, cancer's gonna have me dead by the end of the week. I don't really care what happens to you and whether you meet the daylight or not, and quite honestly, I ain't gonna be around long enough to care about any debts I owe. But I know yous have a way of curing cancer. And that's all I'm gonna say.
The hunter wants to become one of the hunted.
Is that what she's asking for, or is she asking for, the drink? The J word.
Oh, either way, it sounds like yes, she's looking to become one of the things she wants hunted.
Yeah, and all of you have been around more than long enough to know that ghouling an ex-vampire hunter, giving her powers and making her able-bodied once again, is a big social faux pas. Probably not something you'd be blood hunted over, but you'd certainly have to explain yourselves. And Bouncer Bouncer and Tig, you wouldn't care so much. You just have to give a reason at the next rant if you did that. But Valerie and Mitch, if he was here, are cam vampires, and they know they'd be in shit with the prince for ghouling a vampire hunter without at least consulting one of the Primogen first.
Tig shrugs. You sure that's what you want?
Keeps me alive a bit longer. Maybe even lets me take a few more monsters out of this world. And if you're able to get Mark Bradley to apologise, I might even get to run my bar again.
Tiggs looks sternly at her and says, "See, a wise woman once told me, after I thought I was going to die, then I didn't. The important thing to remember is I don't have to be a monster. And neither do you, eh?"
Too right, she says. Too right. Tig, go ahead and make me a charisma persuasion check.
So if you're sure this is really what you want, I'll give it to you. But if there's any doubt in your heart, maybe sit down and have a think, is what I'm saying. Charisma persuasion, 1 success on 2 dice.
1 success. She bites her lip. Yeah, I remember when I told you that. Only words don't ring as strongly when you're staring down the barrel of death, do they? So, you want to know what I know? You give me a hit of that blood, or we're done for the night.
Tig wordlessly walks over, picks up what he doesn't realize is a bedpan.
Before you do
Since
that,
I start looking at him,
before you do that, Tig, I will point out, because I know this is one thing that Bouncer's good at. Bouncer, you could try to intimidate the information out of her if you wanted to.
If.
I was thinking about it, but like, how do you intimidate someone on the verge of death? Like, there's not much you can threaten them with.
Well, you know that her death's going to be relatively peaceful. She's probably going to pass in her sleep, and you could make it a hell of a lot worse.
if you wanted to threaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once Riley starts laughing at the bedpan, Tig will frown at her, then go and get one of those one-shot cups.
So, Valerie, even though it's Tig doing this, you're working with him on this task, and you know that the prince will hold you accountable if she finds out that Tig Gould, a former hunter.
Valerie starts writing down some notes about everything that's happening. She doesn't make it clear that she's writing down anything about them, but she is. she's taking very detailed notes about everything that's going on here.
Yeah, so she can sell them upriver when the prince finds out.
Possibly even before. But they don't know that.
Tig returns a few minutes later, holding the bedpan in one hand and the shot glass in the other, and there's a small amount of red liquid at the bottom of the shot glass. Tig, I'd like you to make a rouse check for me, please.
Can do. And he gets hungrier. And Tig says, listen, don't go off willy-nilly after this, alright? Take some time, think things over.
Well, if I get my bar back, maybe I won't have to go hunting monsters, she says. She reaches out a trembling hand, takes the shot glass and downs it. Ah, she says, taking a sip. Her pupils immediately dilate, her eyes grow bloodshot, and colour flushes into her cheeks. I feel better already, she says. She sits bolt upright in her bed. On the TV screen, Dean whispers, "That's how they make you one of them, Sam." Alright. I admit...
You know it only stops stuff for a time, right?
Enough to put my affairs in order, she says. But maybe we can make this a more permanent arrangement.
Kind of my responsibility now, so I'd rather you didn't, die. You didn't die all of a sudden. I think you don't want that either, so... Here, take hands or a card. For the Circle H Ranch.
Circle H Ranch? Interesting. You're one of the good ones, Tig. She slides the card under her blankets. Look, I admit, I'm the one who hid the body in the wall. I had my own skeletons in the closet, didn't want to deal with a police investigation, so I'm the one who put him behind the wall. I was going to take him out and hide him somewhere better. Just never got around to it. But when I found him, he was in one of the toilet cubicles, hunched over, drained of blood, holes in his neck.
Sounds like our counselor may have jumped on him during that very special evening.
Maybe. Hey, look, if he's the one you're looking for, and your lot are gonna take him out, maybe, just, get him to rescind that, order he made on my property. See if I can't get it back in my name. Get the bar back up.
Of course, you've been a delight. We would be happy to help. And Valerie quickly scribbles into her notebook, owed one boon, Ali.
Mark Bradley. Before you go, where's your friends? I remember the nerdy-looking bloke. Tried to chat my ear off about multiple world theory or something. And the other bloke. The kid in the orange hoodie. Or maybe I'm remembering wrong. Medicine I'm on ain't the fake stuff, that's for damn sure.
Orange hoodie.
Yeah.
Well, our nerdy friend is in the morgue, unfortunately.
I don't remember nobody wearing an orange hoodie.
Yeah, what?
You sure?
Was there somebody else with us?
You sure? She says. You know, there's the only other vampire in the place aside from you.
Wait a minute. You didn't mention this. This is important. What did he look like? Did he speak to you? Did you speak to him?
Didn't buy a drink. Came in and he was gone. About 20 minutes later. It's a kid. Youngish. I know. 18, 19. If he asked for a drink, I definitely would have carded him. Orange hoodie, had it pulled over, couldn't see his face, but I could tell by the way he was looking through the crowd that he was one of yous.
Interesting.
Don't
sir,
get me
tell
wrong, I still reckon the great and honourable Mark fucking Bradley is your culprit.
Yeah, about that though.
Sure,
when you came in, did you see the Elvis impersonator, Henry, after that?
Oh, Henry went to the bathroom after the countdown and, yeah, come to think of it, didn't see him then until I found his body.
Very interesting. I'm glad we stuck around and offered you a drink, of course.
Ha! I'm feeling better already. I want to get out of bed and start prancing around, but that'd raise too many questions. I'll try and catch some sleep, and if I think of anything else, I'll give you a call.
Valerie produces her own business card and flashes it and goes to shake Lucky's hand and kind of stuffs it in there as she shakes. Please call anytime.
She retracts her hand. She looks at the business card. Her eyes narrow. G-Town Addy. You're right for the Addy. Huh. Guess you're chasing a good scoop, eh? All right. I'll give the paper a call should I think of anything.
Speak to me, and me alone.
Got it, she says. Now, get out of here. I missed how this episode was going to end. I know they was after the guy who's been turning all the kids in the neighbourhood, but I don't know how they dealt with him.
Oh, it's always vampires.
Oh, of course. But you know.
Except when it's fallen angels.
I like to watch shows like this. To see if they know how to hunt properly and... never mind, it's all Hollywood. They probably would have just staked him and he would have turned to ash before their eyes. Anything else I can do for you? She says, grabbing the remote control, turning off the TV and shuffling in the bed, making herself comfortable.
Well, as they say, the night is still young and we have things to do. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, I reckon we're done here. Thank you very much, Lucky.
Best of luck. And Tig, remember, you ain't a monster. You gotta find the one who is.
I ain't a monster, but I still ain't figured out what the fuck to do with myself. What easy is it?
So, you turn, make your way towards the entrance of the oncology ward. And as you step out into the hallway beyond, you hear Lucky chuckle. Oh, bloodsucker's gone soft these days. We cross over to Cross, no pun intended,
Rimshot.
Crosscut.
and Mitch, who are heading to the morgue for the last scene of this night. So, are you heading straight to the morgue to see the body, or are you going to try to tap contacts or something like that?
Ross would be going straight to the morgue.
Yeah, alright. So, the black Mercedes pulls into the parking lot of G-Town Police HQ at just after 11:20 p.m. The police building is an old red brick double-story structure It's across the road from the old train station, and in centuries past, it was the old station house. Served all of the trains that would come through Gateway before the bigger, more modern train station was built in the 1950s. The old station house was turned into an art gallery / museum, and then around the start of the 1980s, that was decommissioned, and the police, who were searching for a new headquarters at the time, purchased the deed and turned the rickety old station house into their HQ. You're just walking straight into the front door, Cross and Mitch?
I mean, that doesn't seem like the best idea, but I don't know.
Yeah. Cross would be used to being rebuffed as well. I imagine Cross is trying to find a way to just get in without being seen.
You both have obfuscate,
Yeah, so
don't
does
you?
Mitch. We do.
Cross just has silence of death.
I mean, that'd help.
It would.
What does Mitch have?
Sound of Death and Unseen Passage.
Yes, you've got both. So, yeah. You briefly step up the front stairs and peer through the front door, and on the other side you can see an empty-looking waiting room. You can just make out some moth-bitten, leather-backed chairs and a community board filled with notices and wanted posters. There's a bored-looking uniformed constable behind the desk, and he's looking down so he doesn't see you standing in front of the door. So you could enter through there, or you could try to find some other way. Or even...
Cross...
Yep.
What were you going to say? Finish off?
I was going to say, or you could even enter through the reception and just try to sneak past the guy.
Yeah, Cross normally goes about breaking into places. Being a bagger, it does this fairly often.
Yeah.
By just... It knows to just act casual and like it's meant to be there. And then just, like if you pick a lock in like broad daylight and act like you're meant to be there, nobody really questions you. So yeah, Cross is going to just be pulling that kind of thing, just taking the door, picking it if necessary, and going on through.
And Mitch, are you going to follow Cross?
I think he would use Unseen Passage to try to not have two people walking in at the same time. He would try to be more sneaky about it.
So to feel like Mitch might not be the best at acting casual.
So to clarify,
absolutely not.
To clarify, Cross, you're going to find an alternate entrance, pick it if necessary, and Mitch is going to follow unseen.
Yes.
All right. So go ahead, Mitch. Make a rouse check. So how you do that is you just roll a single d10. If it's a success, you do not get hungrier.
I'd like to note, by the way, for what this gets rolled on, if it does get rolled on, that Cross isn't really acting natural so much as just doing it.
It's just going through the motions, yeah.
Because it knows that if you just go, then things tend to work out.
Did you get hungrier, Mitch?
No, I got a success.
Okay, good. And I'll just explain, Mitch, how hunger works. Is whenever you make a roll, you add your amount of hunger. You replace a number of dice in the pool with your hunger. So say you have hunger 2, you would replace 2 of the dice in your pool with 2 hunger dice. I think the bot will do it automatically if you tell it what hunger you're at. So you turn away from Mitch, Cross, and Mitch steps into the bushes in the garden bed outside the main entrance and fades away into the darkness. And then you begin to make your way around the side of the police station. looking for an alternate way in. The old station house has only one alternate entrance. A staff-only door at the very back. You cross through an outdoor smoking area. There's a couple of concrete benches and chairs and a waste basket filled with crushed cans and cigarette butts, but the police are all on duty tonight, and the courtyard is thankfully empty. So you quickly cross through it, follow the path, and come to the thick metal door that serves as the back entrance. Sign reads, staff only. Beyond this point, the path continues on into the police car park. There are 3 cruisers parked up against a chain link fence. You reach forwards cross to open the metal door, and of course, find it locked. Go ahead and make a dexterity larceny check for me.
Oh, and there's a lockpicking bonus, which is obviously applying.
Yep.
So that's 5 dice and 2 successes.
2 successes. You lean over, vaguely aware of Mitch watching you. You can feel his gaze, even though you can't see him. And then, click! You hear the door unlocks. You grab the knob and turn it, pushing the door open. It creaks and lets you into the dusty old station. You make your way down the first corridor, passing by an empty break room, and see a sign hanging on the wall at the end of the hallway. Morgue left, reception right, office right. And now you must simply creep your way to the morgue. So, Mitch, you automatically pass because you're using unseen passage. But, Cross, I'd like you to make a dex stealth check, and you may add 1 extra dice for your obfuscate.
Messy 5.
Messy 5.
Messy with 1 die. That's
so,
fun.
Yeah. So, Cross begins to creep down the corridor as quietly as it can, its footfalls making no noise, as Mitch follows unseen.
And you're in a morgue.
Yeah.
This is compulsion time.
Yep.
Might be. I'm rolling on the table to see what happens. So,
Fair enough.
you pass by an office at the end of the hallway as you turn left, and as you pass by, taking great care to not be seen, I'd like the 2 of you to make wits awareness checks, please.
Sure. Good roll. That's 6. 2 successes.
And Mitch?
I'm getting about to walk away.
Have a look. Lucky dice.
3 successes.
Yeah, lovely. So as you sneak past the office, out of the corner of your eye, you see 2 police officers inside. They seem to be the only 2 on duty. One's sitting at his desk in his office chair, swiveling around between the paperwork on his desk and the cop standing next to him, who's sitting on the very edge of the desk. And they're deep in conversation. That bastard Bradley's sucking us dry. Budget cut after budget cut. It's been hell ever since he made it to the city council. Yeah. Should make sure to fix all the potholes, though. And the hospital isn't in code yellow for the first time in years. But at what cost, Clint? What cost? No robot dogs? Exactly. No robot dogs. How are we expected to work under these conditions? You press onwards. At one point, a female police officer steps out of the women's toilet and starts to starts to make her way towards you. Mitch presses himself up against the wall as Cross wordlessly ducks into a nearby utility closet, and she passes without noticing either of you. And then you get to the end of the hall, the morgue. The faded lettering on the wooden door proclaiming its status. Cross steps forwards to push the door open, and as it does so, the doorknob turns. The door creaks, and a chubby-looking police officer stands on the other side. He sees Cross standing in the hallway, opens his mouth to say something, and with his right hand reaches for the butt of his weapon. Cross, inside, your beast roars. Don't let them see you! You can't be seen. You can't be seen. That would be unprofessional, and it would draw heat to everyone. Your beast takes over. You rush forwards, pressing your hands against the man's neck, knocking him to the ground, and as he hits the floor with a gasp, you sink your long nails into his neck, silencing him as he bleeds to death. He bleeds out in front of you, and the blood pours over the front of your shoes. Your beast growls once more. And then it calms, and the anxiety lifts. I would like Cross to add a stain, please, for your messy critical.
That's quite the opening messy.
Yeah. But, see, the way I see it, is Cross doesn't particularly care about taking life. After all, death is just another state of being. So, Cross wouldn't think twice about quickly dispatching someone who's in their way, if that's the quickest and most efficient option. Would you agree?
Yeah, it wouldn't really care, but that was very messy.
Yeah, it's going to have to deal with it. So now you're in the morgue, and it's not much of a morgue. G-Town Police Station is by no means cutting edge, and this morgue is an old workshop that's been converted into a workspace for the medical examiner. There's a single gurney out in the middle of the tiled room, and lying upon it is the mummified corpse of Elvis. The wig is obviously missing, and the rhinestone-studded suit has been removed. It's folded neatly on a desk, a couple inches away from the gurney. There's a single corpse drawer embedded in the wall just beyond the gurney, but aside from that, the room is empty, and there's barely enough room for the two of you to move around without bumping into each other. What would you like to do?
That's a good question. Cross, you're the one who's perhaps more interested in this sort of thing. If you would like to take a first look, I could take notes.
Cross would definitely be going straight to inspecting. Frankly, I was waiting to see if Mitch might have a reaction to me killing an innocent. But
Oh, he's not happy about that. But that's in the back of the mind while we're currently in this situation.
As Vince,
that's good.
As Vince materializes, as Mitch materializes and begins rifling through the coroner's papers on the small desk in the corner, you distinctly register the frown on his face, the look of annoyed inconvenience. So, Mitch, would you like to look through the reports that have been left here while Cross examines the body?
Yes.
make notes.
The
Okay.
harrowing concept of Vincent Merriweather appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah. So Cross, go ahead and make for me an intelligence medicine check. And I will also ask Mitch to make an intelligence academics check.
Can I do science biology?
Yeah, you can do science biology if you want. That'll also work.
3.
3. All right. And we'll see how Mitch goes.
Messy critical 5.
And obviously,
See.
Cross is going to be switching to more supernatural methods in a second.
Messy critical.
Ooh,
So-
messy.
Lovely!
As you materialize and step over the bleeding corpse, Mitch, your beast chitters in the back of your mind. Oh, not good, not good, not good. That man was a variable. There were 500 million timelines that hinged on that man's existence. Now gone, snuffed out of existence. Parts of reality irreversibly destroyed. This is not good. This is not good and will need to be dealt with. Contingencies will need to be made. And your compulsion activates. The Malkavian compulsion, of course, is delusion. The Malkavian's extrasensory gifts running wild. You experience what might be truths or portents, but what others call figments of imagination, dredged up by hunger. While still functional, your mind's perceptions are skewed. You receive a 2 dice penalty to all rolls involving dexterity, manipulation, composure, and wits, as well as on rolls to resist terror frenzy for 1 scene. Begin to rifle through the papers left on the desk, and the words on the page shift and change before your eyes. Mathematical equations seem to lift off the page, and the numbers detach, forming into black particles that swirl around you. You're not even aware of Cross, who's made its way over to the corpse and is conducting its examination quickly, efficiently, going through the motions like a machine. Cross. The victim is Alvis. The king is dead. Again. The body is mummified and is in remarkably good condition. It's easy for you to determine that the victim's throat was punctured with 2 sharp blades, or fangs, and the body drained of blood. If it was a vampire, it's sloppy work, possibly someone's very first kill. There's some weird, oily resin in the face. It's not flesh. Skin itself is leathery, like leather stretched thin over bones, but what's on the face is not organic. You pick a chunk of it off, rub it through your fingers, and it takes a few seconds for you to finally realize what it is. Silicon. Silicon after it's been exposed to years of decay and rot. Alvis has had plastic surgery, extensive plastic surgery done on his face to make him look more like the king. Meanwhile,
Didn't realize we were playing Cyberpunk.
Mitch is rifling through the reports on the desk, the evidence that's been gathered by the police, the fruits of their ongoing investigation. The first you find is a crime scene report. The victim had been stuffed into the walls behind the men's bathroom. No useful DNA evidence could be gathered after the demolition crew that were undertaking the destruction of the bar discovered the body. They thought it was an old Halloween decoration and carried it around to take photos with it. Those photos are included in the report. Men in high-vis vests and yellow construction helmets posing with the mummified corpse, wrapping their arms around its shoulder and flashing thumbs up to the camera, waving. In addition, There are some blurry photos of the night in question, including, quite disconcertingly, a number which feature you and the other members of the coterie, and others which show the victim. All of them blurry, the composition not quite right, the flashing lights and the moving bodies causing the images to devolve into a mess of blur and colour. According to the report, the photos have been sourced from the Facebook page of someone by the name of April Harrington. It's not currently active. Finally, there's a thumb drive wedged under the papers. A handwritten label simply reads, footage. You take a moment, Mitch, and prop up the laptop there on the desk next to the pile of papers. Thankfully, it's been left logged in by the last user. You plug the thumb drive in, quickly navigate to it, and begin to scan through the security footage of the night in question. Go ahead and make for me an intelligence investigation check, but you'll have 2 penalties on this. Remove 2 dice from your dice pool thanks to your... Actually, make a wits investigation, remove 2 penalty, because your compulsion gives you a penalty on wits rolls.
Now, I will bust in as a rules monkey and say that if you wanted to risk rousing your blood, you could add 2 bonus dice, which would counteract that.
Yes. You can also, at any time, rouse the blood to get 2 bonus die to a roll. But that'll risk making you hungrier.
It does last the scene.
Does
You'd
last the
basically
whole
be boosting
scene.
your wits.
Yeah.
With the -2 dice, I have no dice in that pool.
So you
because
just have
I only have 2 wits.
Yeah. Do you have any investigation?
No.
So you just have 1 dice. So...
For the record, I have a lot of that, so...
Yeah, but you're examining the body, which takes a bit longer.
Okay.
So, would you like to rouse your blood to increase it to 3 to counteract your compulsion?
Up to you. It might not be worth it.
Might not be worth it.
I don't think it would be worth it, especially since Mitch is already panicking because of his compulsion. I don't think he would fake to do that.
Don't think he would. Go ahead and roll the 1 dice.
It's success.
1 success, lovely. So, you're scanning through the footage, watching it at 5 times speed, watching people enter and exit, sip, sip, hooray, zooming in and out. You see the footage of your entire coterie entering shortly after Alvis does. Skipping to the end of the footage, Alvis does not return. You scrub through the footage several times, increasing the speed, decreasing, freeze frame, lingering on various moments, and here and there are things in the footage that aren't quite right. People whose faces blur and turn into staticky fuzz on screen. Strange shadows that are longer than they should be. Unaccountable variables as your compulsion tries to mix the products of your mind in with the truth. But after watching the end of the footage several times, you're able to piece together what's true and what's not. You discard the people with the fuzzy faces, you filter out the shadows, and you watch as the timestamp in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen ticks over. You see you and the other members of your coterie entering at exactly 11:31. Then suddenly, it's 12:06, and the patrons are beginning to exit, to party in the streets. Missing time. The footage has been tampered with. You close the program and rip the thumb drive out of the laptop. Mitch, are you going to steal this thumb drive?
Yes, he's going to just slip it into his pocket.
Slips it into his pocket and then peers over at Cross, who's just finished conducting its investigation, muttering to itself, mummified. Plastic surgery on the face, and... Cross stands up, faces you. Your investigations are conducted. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
What did you get?
Well, the footage, the security footage, there's a gap in the time between 11:31 and 12:06. So clearly someone or something has cleared the footage. I'm kind of beginning to wonder if I should have ordered something different that night.
But why?
I think things changed.
Because of what you ordered?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Mitch just kind of sighs, and to save everyone the long-winded explanation, he starts rambling about multiverse theory and how he feels that his drink choice that night, Butterfly, affected into them being there at this moment, at this time.
And as you explain it, your eyes drift over to the dead police officer, blood still pooling around his severed neck on the floor. Another life discarded at your feet. All because of that choice you made that night. All because you chose ale instead of lager on Lucky's recommendation.
I think as Mitch goes over this, Cross will just sort of listen blankly and then, completely distracted by this, start like Googling like many worlds theory.
Yeah. And
like before long, dozens upon dozens of tabs are open in its phone.
And as you look up, Mitch is just finishing his explanation, and then he peers down at the body at his feet. And he says, and now, another unknown variable that we have to fix. What would you like to do?
I think, that pulls Cross out of searching, and it's like, look, I gotta look this up more, but why would it be the drink?
I think the better question is, why wouldn't it be the drink?
Well, I know, why not what you said to somebody on the night, or like, I don't know, whether you took a shit.
Would vampires typically do that?
No, you don't.
Yeah, alright, maybe not the shit.
Look, the point is that now we have another dead body on our hands, and we should probably get out of here after you tell me what you found.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, right, what I found. Okay, I have found out that this guy, he got a lot of plastic surgery to make himself look like, I think he's called Elvis.
For your time.
See, my read there is that anyone Cross's age would know who Elvis is. This is a Cross thing, not an age thing.
This is a Cross thing. Yeah. Cross
Sorry, what was the other information I got?
Yeah,
I got sidetracked on that sidetrack.
Yeah, the main information you got was that he'd had extensive plastic surgery, and whatever killed him was sloppy enough that it's very sloppy work. If this was a vampire, it it was probably done in frenzy, or across your mind flashes back a night 6 months ago, a struggling body in your hands, terrified screams of agony. Your fangs sink into someone's throat. This could have been somebody's first kill. Shake your head, dispelling the memory.
You see Cross sort of screwing its eyes shut, and you see it sort of raking its nails up and down its left arm quite frantically as it seems to get quite even more neutral affect than normal. It's like, two wounds on the neck, messy. Could have been blades, could have been teeth. Didn't look like it was a clean job. Yeah.
At your feet, the body gurgles. As blood pools around the severed throat. And now there's another masquerade breach. Another body slashed in the throat. What would you like to do to deal with this?
I'm thinking that Cross. Okay, hang on. We haven't played a scene that we're going to be playing at some point, but how do you reckon Cross would have dealt with the body that you and I both know about?
Well, do you have the Oblivion ability that turns flesh into ash? I don't think you do.
I do not.
Yeah, so I think Cross would consider bodies just a vessel for what remains after death. And when the vessel isn't used anymore, it's just discarded. And Cross would totally be the type who would just dump a body in a bin and forget about it.
Masquerade counted there?
Yeah, but Cross is young enough that it may not fully hem to that.
Appreciate the gravity of the situation. Okay, Cross would be slipping on some more gloves, trying to stem any blood flow, and it'd probably be looking for something it can find to put the body on to drag it away rather than having to lift it itself.
Yeah. So.
Gurneys.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Good thought for it, really.
So I'd like you to make an intelligence medicine check, please, Cross.
Can do. Can I do biology again?
No, this would be medicine because you're going to stem the bleeding.
That's a shame. Okay. 2 successes.
2 successes. Take one last look at Mitch as he peers down at the body, and then moving, going through the motions, you kneel down, reach into your kit, pull out several pieces of fabric and use them to stem the bleeding, simultaneously scrubbing the blood from around the man's neck. And then, once you've wrapped a string of thick fabric around its neck, you stand up, make your way to the cadaver drawer in the wall, pull it open, whoosh, and as you pull it open, dust flies up, hitting you in the face. As it suddenly occurs to you, with the layer of dust and the rust on the cadaver slab, it's not been used in years.
Okay. Yeah. That works.
You gesture for Mitch to come and help you, and he shrugs, sighs, rolls his eyes, and the two of you grab the chunky cop by his underarms, hoist him up, drag him over to the cadaver slab, and lay him down with a loud metallic clunk. And then you exchange glances as... Yep.
I think Cross would also take this opportunity to siphon off some blood.
Yeah.
into a spare bag.
Reach once more into your kit, pull out a plastic bag, pop it open and hold it up against the wound on the neck, letting a few dregs of blood drain down into it. And when you've got about as much blood as you're gonna get, you zip up the bag, nonchalantly drop it back into your kit, and then lean over and lick the wound on the neck, sealing the damage made by your sharp nails.
And as Cross does this, you see it very visibly retch.
Then you look over at Mitch with a look of obvious disgust on your face and turn away as Mitch steps forwards and slides the slab back into the drawer, slamming the metallic door shut. Clang! You grab the padlock off the desk, slide it through the loop, snap it shut, and the corpse is laid to rest. And with that, the first night's investigations come to an end. It's relatively easy. Relatively easy to get out of the old police station, and you meet no resistance on the way out. You decide to reconvene at a park just on the edge of downtown, fill each other in on what you've found. And then, before you know it, it's time to retire. The revelers, the party-goers, they're like you. They instinctually feel the sun slowly making its way towards the edge of the horizon, and as the grey twilight sinks over the city, they begin to scurry home like insects fleeing the coming light. And you with them. 2 nights to go. 2 more nights, and then someone has to meet their final death. Whether it's one of your coterie, the person who you've framed for the grisly murder, or the true culprit, if you can find them. The game is afoot. The clock is ticking. And you have 2 more nights to prove your innocence. Thank you for playing. Next session, we will continue on. See what more of the mystery you can uncover. See what clues you can divulge. And if you can finally put them all together to determine who killed the king 21 years ago on New Year's Eve, 1999. This has been Who Killed the King, Part 1, first session of Lords of G-Town. I have been your storyteller, Dale, or Dark Gaia. And I shall see you once again next time, when the sun departs over the bay, the shadows grow longer, and the kindred of G-Town stir once more.